on the floor at 4:45.
Run, MAGA Mike, run, MAGA Mike, running away from the press inside the Capitol building yesterday as he is losing control of the House floor. The vote to put the Affordable Care Act extensions on the House floor moving forward. There will be a vote today that will almost certainly pass to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. MAGA Mike was trying to prevent that from happening. Yesterday, 9 Republicans joined forces with the Democrats in a vote to allow for a vote today to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. The big problem is that Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans in the Senate will be killing that most likely. But remember, this was the discharge petition that Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries pushed forward. And then there was a vote to get the vote to happen today, and MAGA Mike lost that also yesterday. MAGA Mike Johnson lost big as Democrats in the House Oversight Committee were able to bring some Republicans along to go against MAGA Mike's will in order to subpoena Les Wexner, the billionaire benefactor of Epstein, as well as Epstein's accountants. 2 individuals by the name of Darren Indyke and Richard Kahn, who are also executors of Epstein's estate. Those individuals will now be subject to a congressional subpoena. MAGA Mike was trying to block that, and a fight broke out on the House floor yesterday. Take a look right here. Zoom in. You'll see Democratic Congresswoman Angie Craig having, as Andrew Sullender refers to it, as a heated exchange with Republican Whip Tom Emmer, both from Minnesota, on the House floor. Craig has strongly denounced the ICE shooting, Sullender writes, in Minneapolis, while Emmer defended the officers. Sullender got some additional information. The Democrat, Angie Craig, was telling the MAGA Republican, Emmer, that Trump and Republicans' political stunts in Minneapolis just caused a woman to be killed. Renee Nicole Good to be killed. And Emmer responded, take a walk, because that's how immature MAGA Republicans behave. So before MAGA Mike ran away, he parroted the regime talking points about the terrorist attack against the ICE agents' terroristic activity that resulted in the execution, the shooting death of the innocent United States citizen Renee Nicole Good. Here's what he says about that. Play this clip.
Look, it appears to us, I guess, anybody who sees the video from certain angles, that the driver of the vehicle weaponized that vehicle against law enforcement officers and against bystanders. It was a dangerous situation. People make snap judgments in those situations, and it's a really sad outcome. Look, I do think that it's right. I think I guess maybe it was Homeland or someone put out a statement that this clearly appears to be the result of this just months-long rhetoric against law enforcement and people encouraging that kind of violence. And so we call upon all the citizens of Minneapolis to be calm. We don't want anyone to be hurt. We need law enforcement to be able to do their jobs, and it's a terrible situation. But we await.
Oversight of ICE.
Then MAGA Mike was asked if his majority was in jeopardy, to which MAGA Mike responded that he reads the Bible and he loves to part the Red Sea like Moses or something like that. Here, play this clip.
Those seas are going to part when necessary. We're going to keep this great republic. And I know I'm going to be maligned for saying that, and I don't care, because, that my worldview is we give God the glory. I believe God has blessed America. I believe it is in him who we trust, and I think we do well to remind everybody of that. I'm not worried about the numbers. I don't get up in apprehension or anxiety in any day. I get up every day with hope and anticipation to see what God's going to do for our great country. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Then MAGA Mike is asked if he thinks it's responsible rhetoric that the White House keeps on talking about invading Greenland. Let's play this clip.
You say that there's military action is not going to happen. So then, is it responsible for the White House to continue to raise the specter of military action. They said very explicitly.
I've spoken to the question. I'm not gonna take 1,000 gotcha questions this morning trying to pit me against the White House. It is. I've said I can't be more clear than I have been on this. I've given lengthy statements on it. You know where I stand. You know where the House stands. We're going to get a briefing today, and then we'll see how it develops. So everybody relax. Yes.
MAGA Mike is asked, under what authority can the United States just start seizing oil from countries like Venezuela? Play this clip.
The president, as you saw, said that he is going to get 50 million barrels of oil or something from Venezuela. Does the president have the authority to unilaterally seize oil from Venezuela and then use the money from the sale of that oil as he sees fit, as he said he's going to do?
I hear Congressman Jimenez over my shoulder, who's the world's expert on all this, saying that is sanctioned oil, okay? And I'm not going to get up here and tell you the details of all these developments because it's still being developed. There are a lot of ideas. There's some brainstorming being done out loud by all sorts of people, many of whom are not even authorized to have these conversations. I would not run with too many of these headlines right now, okay? I'm telling you that all of this is developing right now. I am very confident we have steady hands at the wheel, and then this will be figured out. So stay tuned. Thank you.
And then MAGA Mike Johnson is tries to then justify what Marco Rubio said to him. He goes, look, we're not actually going to invade Greenland. He goes, Marco Rubio said that to me, but Rubio was joking. Here, play this clip.
Does that mean we're going to go send troops into Greenland and take it over? No. I mean, they only had, 50,000 people there. This is not a thing, okay? Did Marco say something like that? I think he did. I mean, it was over a 2-hour meeting in the Gang of Eight, and I think he did make a comment, but I think he did it with a smile. He was trying. I took that as a joke. He was trying to be humorous about it, okay?
Folks, the majority that the MAGA Republicans have is so utterly thin, and we need the Democrats right now to stand up and to put their money where their mouth is. We don't need Democrats just to walk the walk, or rather talk the talk, or pretend to walk the walk. We don't need Democrats to put out press releases. Now is the time to fight. People want to see fighters. I want to bring in Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren right now, who's talking about fighting, and she's pledging a significant amount of the money that she's raised to help down ballot, up ballot, all ballot Democratic candidates take back the House and take back the Senate. Great to see you, Senator Warren. I just showed a bunch of clips there of MAGA Mike Johnson. I want to talk about what these MAGA Republicans are doing in just a moment, but I want to ask you about your initiative, because you are putting up huge sums of money to help Democrats across this country right now. Tell us about that, Senator. It's great to have you on.
Well, so I am taking more than $400,000 out of my personal campaign account, and I'm putting it into the state parties in 23 states where there are competitive races that give Democrats a chance. And that's true when we're talking about federal, both the Senate and the House, when we're talking about state houses, when we're talking about governor's races, up and down the ballot. Now is the time. January is the month to start making these investments in our state parties so that they have the infrastructure, so that they can hire the staff, so they can start recruiting the volunteers, so they can put those volunteers to work, so they can actually be there so that Democrats win, not just one marquee race here and over there that captures the national spotlight, but so that Democrats can win up and down the ballot. 2026 is the year we absolutely must do that. And I'm giving it everything I've got starting in January with this money going to state parties.
And so what's your guidance to the people right now? They're starting 2026, I think, with a degree of optimism, although the country has been seriously harmed at the end of 2025. But then 2026 starts with Donald Trump. It took 2 days before he invades another country unlawfully without getting congressional authorization. He's now threatening to invade basically every other country in the Western Hemisphere. He's threatening Greenland, So what are you telling people, though? Like, What should they be thinking about now heading into the midterms? Just how do they handle what's happening on a day-to-day basis as Trump's going to do everything he can to distract from the Epstein files, to distract from the disastrous economy, to distract from all of his fatal decisions by, I guess, invading every country or whatever he's going to be doing.
Exactly right. So look, what we got to do is we got to recognize we feel like we're in a movie, everything everywhere all at once. And we got to be willing to push back. Absolutely. But take a deep breath and remember, every single day in 2024, before he was elected, Donald Trump said he would lower costs for families on day one. Those were his words. We got the video everywhere on day one. And what's happened to American families? The cost of groceries is up. The cost of housing is up. The cost of utilities is up. The cost of healthcare is through the roof. And it's because of the things Donald Trump has done. The tariffs, the chaos, the one big beautiful bill that has just crushed families financially. So think of it this way. In 2024, families said, I need some help. And there are a lot of folks who went to Donald Trump and the Republicans because they promised to do that, because they promised to give that help. And they have gone in exactly the opposite direction. Donald Trump can round up billions of dollars to invade Venezuela. He can round up billions of dollars for Argentina. He can round up money for his gold-encrusted ballroom. But he can't get there on the front lines to help people afford their health care. He can't go in there and reduce the cost of housing. Instead, he's going to have his tariffs that are raising the cost of building new housing. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to stay focused. We're going to stay focused on the housing issue. We'll talk about the other stuff. We'll fight back on the other stuff, but we'll keep bringing it back to that central question. Who do you think government should work for? If you think it ought to work for the oil companies, if you think it ought to work for the billionaires, then by golly, Trump and the Republicans are your folks. But if you think it ought to work for your family, if you think it ought to work for Americans across this country, then now is the time, vote Democratic.
Trump sure went 0 to 100 in about 3 seconds, 0 to $100 billion. That is, he rushed to say, all right, here's now what we're going to do with the oil companies. Subsidies for them to build out in Venezuela. Well, if you claim that they were going to make all of this money and that's what they wanted to do, why won't the oil companies just make their capital expenditures in Venezuela? Oh, wait, because they realize that it's actually not a profitable venture. So now you want the American people to subsidize the oil companies. At the same time, when it's subsidies for healthcare for the American people, then all of a sudden it's, we can't subsidize that. Yeah. We don't have the money to bring down healthcare costs. Oil companies, though, in Venezuela after absolutely subsidize them. It's really welfare for the billionaires is really the system that it seems like.
And keep in mind on this isn't the first time he's run this play just in the last 6 weeks. Remember, it was Argentina just a few weeks ago, and he rounded up $20 billion just like that to bail out Argentina. Remember, more than enough money to pay for the healthcare subsidies. And he said, I'm going to send that money to try to prop up my buddies down in Argentina. But for folks here at home, folks in Iowa or folks in Georgia or folks in Maine, Donald Trump doesn't have any interest in doing that. So it really is, who do you think government ought to be helping? Who do you think government ought to work for? Donald Trump thinks it ought to be his billionaire buddies. The rest of us think it ought to be the rest of America, giving more people an opportunity to be able to build some real financial security. So listen, I'm bullish on this, and this is why I am investing right now in our state parties, in the infrastructure, so that Democrats, yes, please, please take back the House of Representatives, take back the Senate, but also let's take back some of those governors' mansions. Let's take back some of those state legislatures. Let's help Democrats up and down the line. Let's help strengthen the Democratic bench. People who get in there and get their feet wet running for that first time they run for public office, or people who volunteer for the first time. But that takes the infrastructure. And so that's why I'm taking this money right now, money that people have made contributions to me in, $5 here and $15 there and $20 over there. And I've put that money together. And now I want to spend a big chunk of it to invest in our state parties, to put some wind in their sails, and to try to get my other colleagues in the Senate and the House to do the same. It's all hands on deck right now. We have got to win this election. And that work starts right now in January, not in October, right now in January.
And before we go, talk to us about that message that you want to send, though, to the other Democratic senators and Democratic Congress members right now, that, their responsibility in this moment is really not just to worry about their own seat, but to focus more broadly as everybody moving in the same direction before the November elections and doing anything that they can do also. So what's your message more broadly to Democratic leaders out there at this moment?
The moment could not be more urgent. If you understand that, then reach down into your political campaigns and put some money on the table to help the team. Get out there and volunteer to help the team. Show up, give speeches, do what you can to support the team, because Democrats are fired up. There are Democrats out there, I know you know, because they're the folks who listen to you over and over. Democrats are fired up. But the way we turn that into an effective electoral strategy is we get organized and we all head in the same direction. And remember, people voted in 2024 based on who promised to lower their costs. That was Donald Trump. He lied. He hasn't delivered. And now it's time. Democrats, we're in this fight. We can deliver.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, thanks for joining us to start this new year, and we're excited to have you back on soon. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Have a good one. Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.